Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Luffy go back to the past with the help of a goddess to meet a new sibling part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video, and also go support the PortugueseRonaldo for writing that awesome fanfic. Let's start this video. Raftel, 1 month after the incident, when he imagined the feelings that he would get when he would find the One Piece, he certainly never thought that he would feel like this. Pain, sorrow, despair, emptiness. Not even the giant mountains of gold that would probably make his navigator jump on it and start swimming like an old duck, you better get that reference, could fill the void that was eating him up from the inside, giving him suicidal thoughts when watching the beach and haunting nightmares filled with gore. Luffy was a broken man. He still remembered how his nakama forced him to go on Raftel by putting his body on a man-launching cannon that Frankie had built so that they could end their service to the man that saved them by making him accomplish his dream. Luffy of course refused since there were still a quarter of the enemy forces left, but the Straw Hat fleet was on the brink of exhaustion. After all, it's quite hard to take on all of the marines available, plus the remnants of the Big Mom, Kaido and Blackbeard pirates. So they decided to send Luffy to the island with an emotional goodbye, with everyone crying and giving him hugs, and on the case of Nami an unsuspecting kiss, since he thought that Nami considered him like a brother. The last thing he saw was the Sunny auto-destructing herself to kill every enemy in the area in which it succeeded. Now Luffy, the supposed pirate king, but he would never consider himself like that since he thought that he didn't deserve it, was on the brink of insanity, and with no one else to help him in this tough time, he decided to end his life if he wasn't constantly thinking about how rude it would have been considering his nakama sacrifice. So he decided to just accept it and live the rest of his life in this island. Finally decided to calm down. An angelic voice asked. Luffy's eyes snapped open at the sound of the voice, and after he got up he was greeted by a divine being. It was a woman with wavy blonde hair that reached her knees, eyes the color of the ocean, lips red like roses, a nice figure, a white dress and a tiara. Knowing this being was powerful thanks to his haki, Luffy went on to ask carefully who she was. "Who the hell are you, lady?" The woman sighed and giggled. "I see that even with the incident your naiveness and childness never left you, Monkey D. Luffy, the goddess responded, enunciating slowly his name at the end. Luffy glared at the woman and said, "If you want the treasure you can have it, I left it all in that place, most precisely in the cave over there. I have no interest in the treasure, in fact I have more interest in you," said the woman while slowly approaching him, giving him the wrong idea. "Oh, I'm still too young to be a father. Besides we just met," said Luffy, who was currently panicking, mainly because of the fact that he still was pure. When he met his father he not just asked, but demanded that his father would give him the talk since according to his gramps, it was the father's job. By the end Luffy was a shivering mess and tried to avoid the two females of the ship while eyeing them suspiciously, which led to some embarrassing moments like Luffy screaming rape when one of them would touch him. Eventually he calmed down, but the suspicion was still there. The goddess giggled again. "No, you're getting it wrong, I don't want to engage in sexual activities with mortal men, in fact I'll introduce myself. My name is Lachesis and I'm here to help you." Hearing this Luffy got surprised for a second before asking, "Helping me? How will you help me?" "By allowing you to live with your friends again, of course," Lachesis answered. Luffy was stunned. Living with his friends again. It was what he most desired. He tried searching for any deception in Lachesis' face, but detected nothing, so he decided to ask. "How? What, can you actually do that?" "Yes I can," Lachesis responded. "I have the power to make you reborn with your memories. You will also probably can use your observation haki at birth, but your conqueror and armament haki will be drastically reduced due to you being just a normal human being. There will be a slight difference though." "Oh really? What is it?" responded the straw hat wearing man. "Well, you see, every living being has a destiny, and each destiny is important for the world to continue. You reaching Raftel at the cost of the people you cared about was important to the world, because then we wouldn't have this talk," answered Lachesis with a smile on her face. Luffy however was frowning, so his friends had to die just so this Lache whatever could talk to him? Hell no. But before Luffy could give her a piece of his mind she probably sensed his rage and decided to comfort him. "Don't worry, this was done so that you could live with your friends, along with another person." Lachesis said mischievously, "This will also be your last available chance, since you can't erase her." "Another person? Her?" Luffy asked while tilting his head in an adorable way. "You'll see. Well, time's up, don't forget to train hard on your haki so that you will be strong enough to take on the world government. Now bye bye." Lachesis said, while waving at him and giggling at the same time. "Wait, what? What do you mean?" "And stop giggling you be." Luffy couldn't complete the rest of his sentence because he was being wrapped in a bright light. After a few minutes the light was being interrupted by two people, a man that kind of looked like a doctor and a tall man with a dark green hood that was set down, which let Luffy see the tribal tattoos on his face and his raven-colored hair. Luffy immediately recognized the man as his father and tried to talk, only to let out a cry. "Here's the boy Dragon-sama," said the doctor while giving him to his dad. Dragon smiled, which was really rare, and said, "Welcome to the world, Monkey D. Luffy." Luffy then understood what Lachaka. Whatever, the nice lady said about being reborn. But before he could think of anything else, the doctor said, "Now the girl is coming." Girl? Did Luffy had a twin sister when he was born? Luffy quickly remembered of the time that his dad had said how he was his only son, so there's no way another person. Oh, so this is what Miss Goddess was saying about another person, he had a sister now. If she managed to get as strong as Luffy was when he reached Raftel, then she would be a powerful ally. And welcome to the world as well, Monkey D. Lucy. LL Lucy. Luffy didn't know that Lucy was a girl's name. He even entered the Dressrosa Coliseum fight under that name. Does that mean that they thought he was going to be a girl? He didn't think he received dirty looks, so maybe it's universal. Whatever, the only thing Luffy knew was that this time would be different. This time he would keep his friends. This time he would destroy the government. This time he was going to win. Years later, Fuchsia Village, East Blue. And morning training is finished. Now normally you would never hear this from a 7-year-old kid, but this wasn't a normal kid. Oh no, this was the future Pirate King, for real this time, Monkey D. Luffy. Now I shall take a bath and then try to convince Shanks. However, I don't know why, but I have a feeling that I'm forgetting something. Oh well, it's probably not important, said Luffy. Now you may be wondering why was Luffy trying to convince Shanks, and the reason was training. Luffy considered asking Gramps for training, but he knows that while Gramps is kind of a goof, he still wasn't crazy enough to teach Haki and the Rakishiki to a kid, let alone one that wanted to be a pirate. However, Luffy did get Grandpa's blessing of being trained by Shanks after Luffy told him what had happened. Garp knew that his grandson was a terrible liar, so when Luffy told all of that with a constant serious face, he knew that was the truth. After all, while Lucy had trouble beating the monkeys, Luffy could do it much easier, even getting to the point of beating them all. Luffy also had slight differences from his past life. His body was now more muscle thanks to the extra training that he put himself to. He could control better its armament Haki, but it was still weak, while his conquerors was just slightly controlled. After his bath, Luffy ran to the village where the party's bar was and proceeded to grab a knife. He then traveled to the docks where the Red Force was and proceeded to climb to the figurehead. "Attention everyone. I'm about to show you how tough am I." "Oh really? Then show us, little anchor," said a red-haired man that was coming out of the captain's quarters. This man was Shanks, the captain of the Red Hair Pirates. He was a man with 3 scars over his eye, a beard, a white shirt and red shorts, with a straw hat on his head. "Brother, what are you doing?" said a young girl. This girl had black hair that reached her shoulders, big and hazel-colored eyes with a white t-shirt and red shorts. Yeah, I know my sense of fashion sucks. This girl was Monkey D. Lucy and was considered the most adorable thing in all of the village. "Well Lucy, your favorite brother is going to show Tomato Hair over there that he is a tough guy and should join his crew," said Luffy. While Shanks was getting pissed at Luffy's remark, Luffy then proceeded to stab himself under his left eye, leaving a big cut that would probably scar. And that was precisely what he was aiming for, since he felt weird every time he saw his face without the scar, and he for now couldn't do anything about the hat. "Idiot, what are you doing? Brother. Damn it hurts." Various reactions were heard from the people around Luffy, which then proceeded to scold him, most precisely his sister. "You big idiot, why did you do that? You got hurt," said a teary-eyed Lucy while punching him repeatedly in the face. "Seriously Luffy, that was really dangerous, you know. You could have been turned blind," reprimanded Shanks, who was noticeably worried. Sorry, managed to mumble Luffy from his various lumps on his face. "Well, what's done is done, let's go have a drink Luffy towards your manliness," said Shanks. "Okay, you guys go ahead, I've something to do on the fort, I'll be right back." Luffy told him to then proceed to run where his fort was. The fort was a base that he and Lucy built during their free time. It was made out of wood, but you could clearly see that was built amateurly, even though they asked help from Makino and Gramps. It reminded Luffy from the treehouse that he, Ace and Sabo shared when they were kids. After applying poorly some bandages on his injuries, damn his sister could hit hard, Luffy went to look himself on the mirror, most precisely, the scar on his cheek. After making sure that it was similar to how it once used to be, Luffy decided to join Shanks and the others at the bar. But before reaching the bar he saw Haguma and the bandits leaving it. Luffy then proceeded to look down, since he didn't want to potentially destroy the village, and entered the bar. As he entered the bar he saw a laughing Shanks that was drenched in sake, while Makino, a woman with dark green hair that reached her shoulders and barkeeper clothes, was helping him clean up, the other pirates laughing, and his sister Lucy angrily eating a purple-colored fruit with swirls. Wait, swirls? That stole the attention of the pirates, and they looked towards a Luffy with a gaping mouth looking at Lucy who was eating something. "Oh hey bro, did you finish your bandaging already?" It looks poorly made, so you better ask Maki. Lucy couldn't say anything else because Luffy had grabbed her by her neck and started shaking her while screaming, "Spit it out." The others were wondering what was Luffy doing until Lucy's neck stretched and made her head roll on the floor. Luffy could feel his jaw dropping gradually as every second passed, while the pirates noticed how the chest with the Gomu Gomu no Mi was empty, which led to Shanks scolding Lucy by calling her an idiot and explaining what she had done. Luffy wasn't paying attention though, since his mind started having flashbacks of the moments where he used his powers. Of how from now on he could never transport himself and the others easily, never embrace his male friends by stretching his thing and claim that he was the king. Never do any cool gears. No more Red Hawks. And most importantly, he now couldn't eat as much as he used to, which led Luffy to yell a huge cry. Ooh. 2 weeks later, Luffy and Lucy were at the party's bar drinking while Makino was cleaning the table. "It's been some time since they left, do you miss them?" asked Makino. "No, they're wimps, especially Shanks. He got drenched in sake and instead of beating that stupid bandit he just laughed," answered Lucy, who was still upset about the prior events. "He's not a wimp, he just handled that like a real man. They didn't deserve a beating," said Luffy, who now understood Shanks' actions better since he had already experienced this memory. "I don't care. He still should have punched him," responded Lucy. Suddenly the bar's door opened. Luffy turned his head to see who it was and saw Haguma and his minions outside. "By the looks of it, those good-for-nothing pirates aren't here, that's good. It's quiet." Haguma then proceeds to sit on a seat and demands, "What are you waiting for? We're customers. Bring us ache." Mayor Whoop Slap was an old man that liked to wear vacation clothes. He also was the chief of the peaceful Fuchsia village. Oh, how he loved the calmness of this village. "Mayor. There's a problem." Awoken by the shout, Whoop Slap turned around and saw Makino panting while leaning on the door. "What is it, Makino?" asked Whoop Slap. "Luffy is fighting the bandits." Outside the bar there was a bunch of bandits on the floor, a little girl crying and a 7-year-old with the most murderous look anyone has ever seen. "Say it again and I will kill you," asked Luffy in a calm manner, even though he was enraged by what these bastards dared to say about Shanks, but most of all about his sister and Makino. 10 minutes before, the bandits were drinking like mad, which led to them make some terrible decisions. Decisions that they would probably regret for the rest of their life. Did you see those pirates? Even when their captain was hit by a bottle they still didn't do anything. What a bunch of cowards," said random bandit number 4. "When I see a chicken like that I just feel like killing him. The only thing pirates know is to act cool," said a very arrogant Haguma. "Shut up." All the conversations were ended and the focus went to a little girl that was being held by the bartender with another boy that was eating. "Shanks is way better than you and he could kick your ass," said the now pissed off girl. "Boy girlie, you better shut up or else," said random bandit number 7. "Or else what, huh?" "I'll kick your ass," Lucy responded. "You're really feisty, you know that," said Haguma, "and there are some adults that like the feisty ones, no matter the age." "What are you talking about?" said Lucy, who was now a little bit freaked out of the way Haguma was talking. "Yes, I'll probably get a good price by selling you, but not without my boys having a round with you and that bartender, hahaha." In the blink of an eye Haguma was punched and thrown out of the bar, followed by his lackeys. Which lead us to this humiliating moment of Haguma apologizing to a kid. "I'm so blue," said Haguma before getting a knuckle sandwich to the ground. "You can spit on me, pour drinks on me, heck even make fun of me, but if you threaten one of the people I care about and I will end you," said Luffy, looking like an absolute badass. "Well," said Anchor. Turning towards the new voice, Luffy saw Shanks and his crew looking at him in amazement and respect, mainly because they probably would have never guessed that a 7-year-old kid could defeat a guy with a bounty of 8 million. "I guess you weren't lying then, your punch really is as strong as a pistol." "Yeah, I'm pretty awesome, aren't I? Hey, you should let me join your crew. After all, I still have some tricks up my sleeve," said an excited Luffy, who could see his plan reaching success. But before Shanks could answer, one of the bandits got up and raised a pistol. "Stop bragging and pay attention, brat." The bandit proceeded to shot Luffy. Except it didn't hit its mark. Luffy, having detected it and wanting to show off his skills to Shanks, activated his observation haki and dodged the bullet, leaving everyone with dumbstruck faces. It didn't end there though, because Luffy rapidly turned around and hardened his arm with haki, making it black, and proceeded to punch the guy right in the face. Sensing the rest of the crew getting up, Luffy tried to release a controlled blast and nearly succeeded, but he still managed to knock out 3 villagers. Shanks was stunned. He never in his life would have guessed that there was a kid in the East Blue who could use the 3 types of haki, along with being a D. Maybe it wasn't bad to bring him along. Sometime later, this was it, Luffy was leaving his hometown. The entire population was there to send him off. Well, he would be leaving if his sister and Makino weren't hugging him like crazy. "Please take care of yourself, Luffy, and if Shanks does you anything be sure to tell me, okay?" said a teary-eyed Makino while glaring at Shanks to show the hell he would go through if Luffy got hurt. She sure can be a demon when she wants to. Thought a sweat-dropping Shanks. When you are done with your trip, can I join your crew, Luffy? Said Lucy, who was crying and hugging her brother. Of course you can, Lou. And don't worry, you still have Ace and Sabo, don't you? Said Luffy, who looked misty-eyed, but he blamed it on lighting effects. When Luffy was 5 years old, he went to the jungle with his sister while looking for his brothers from another mother's, and after chasing Ace for a while, they managed to catch him at their first try, mostly because of Luffy's observation haki. They then met Sabo and friendships were made, to later on evolve as brotherhood, and in Lucy's case sisterhood. Luffy had already told them of his plan to go with Shanks, and he made a promise to meet them on the sea when they would set sail on their own, which they decided to be 17 because of Sabo's and Luffy's strange insistence about that number. Lucy, however, was refused of setting sail on her own by her brother, who wanted her on his crew, but he wouldn't tell her that yet, so he decided to just say that she was a girl. Yeah, I do, and don't worry, I'll train really hard so that even one day I can beat you, Luffy. Said Lucy while nodding. That's really good, Lucy. But you'll never manage to beat me because I'm going to become Pirate King. Said Luffy. He wouldn't say this to her, but Luffy was worried about her, even though she would be with Ace and Sabo, and then just Ace, so he decided to give a package to Makino, saying that it was for Lucy, and she would only be able to open it when she would be by herself. But I've to go, see you later everyone, it has been fun. And remember, Lucy, I'll come pick you up when we turn 17. Said Luffy while waving and walking backwards to the ship. Once he got in the ship, Shanks approached him. So are you ready, Luffy? Said Shanks. Yeah, I'm ready. I can't wait to explore the seas with you guys. But didn't you already explore them, Luffy? Questioned Shanks. After Luffy's display, Shanks took Luffy to a private place and interrogated him on where he learned about haki. Luffy then proceeded to tell him his whole story, and Shanks believed him because it was a well-known fact on the village that Luffy was a bad liar. Yeah, but you guys are going to explore other seas outside of the Grand Line, aren't you? Questioned Luffy. Of course, now I think you just forgot one single thing in terms of clothing, Luffy. Teased Shanks. Wait, what? But I think I've got Eve. Luffy was interrupted by Shanks putting his straw hat on Luffy's head. Now that's more like it. Let's leave, man. Hi. Luffy didn't say anything other than gripping tightly his straw hat, relinquishing in the familiar sensation while bawling his eyes out. And now was time to train even harder and explore. But what Luffy didn't know was that certain events would happen that would change his life. Luffy was beaming. He was sailing with his idol and childhood hero while munching on a piece of meat. Basically, he was having the time of his life. And he would have the adventure of a second lifetime. Rabble 1. Pick a weapon, said the first mate of the Red Hair Pirates, Ben Beckman. They were at a weapons shop at Paradise because Shanks had insisted that Luffy would use a weapon since he now couldn't just increase his strength. Luffy accepted as long as it wasn't a sword, since Zoro was the one that was going to be the world's greatest swordsman. The shop had an old man at the counter, while the room was filled with various types of weapons. One of which caught his eye. It was a warhammer, a gigantic one at that, probably 6 feet tall. It had a carved wooden handle with black flames and a huge rectangular-shaped block of steel. Luffy, impressed by the badassery of the weapon, immediately wanted it, even though it was nearly the most expensive item on the store. This kid is going to waste a pretty large amount of our treasure from now on, though, Ben, while facepalming and sighing at the same time. Rabble 2. Training with Rayleigh was hard. Training with Shanks, however, was even harder. Not just because of the physical training, oh no. Shanks forced Luffy to train everything, which included aiming lessons from Usopp, studying with Ben and training with his weapon that Shanks considered a birthday gift, even though his birthday was still 1 month away, with the captain himself. According to Shanks, the reason Luffy was so naive was because of living with mountain bandits with no connections to the outer world, but Luffy liked to blame it solely on his previous devil fruit power, claiming that he was smart. No one bought that. Rabble 3. When Luffy found it, he was 9 years old. He was in Autumn Island in Paradise when he saw it lying on the ground hidden by some fallen leaves. It was a light purple fruit that looked like it had raindrops on the side with swirls on them. Luffy quickly went to the library of the ship to look for the Devil Druid Encyclopedia, and when he recognized the fruit he gasped and dropped the book. Thinking he maybe had read it wrong or confused it with some other fruit, Luffy went on to look again, and after 3 times he finally accepted it. That fruit was the Yami Yami no Mi, also known as the Dark Fruit. Suddenly memories were going through Luffy's brain, and they weren't pleasant. Sky Island does exist. People's dreams never end. It dragged into darkness, Straw Hat. Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Robin, Frankie, Brook, Jin, I won't let what happened to you become a thing again in this world. Even if I have to eat this. Thought a determined Luffy, who then proceeded to eat the fruit. Rabble 4. It was a lot easier to control than it was with the Gomu Gomu no Mi. Since he didn't need to apply multiple laws of physics on the usage of his devil fruit, Luffy had already controlled it in 1 year. However, controlling it and using it to its full potential were 2 different things. So that's why Luffy was now searching about darkness, which was frustrating since it was an abstract concept. Luffy had a few theories that were later proved correct, such as being able to see clearly in the dark and becoming intangible while being in a complete dark place, which would only become useful when he reached Thriller Bark. Luffy slammed his head on the table. This was going to be annoying. Rabble 5. Luffy was thrilled. He just had his first real battle in a long time against some random group of pirates of the South Blue, which was precisely where the Red Hair pirates were stationed in. Their captain, a man with a bounty of 25 million berry, thought he was the bomb and proceeded to try to beat some respect to a kid with a straw hat that was randomly walking. Since Luffy wanted to train more with his weapon, which he named Smasher, he proceeded to fight him. The captain got his ass handed over to him, which led to attract the attention of bypassers. Not wanting to cause more of a scene, Luffy fled the area and returned to the ship while showing the brightest grin anyone had ever seen. Rabble 6. What the hell? Asked a very confused Luffy. Surprise! Yelled the rest of the crew. It was Luffy's 12th birthday and the crew decided to throw a surprise party over it. But why? Normally you wouldn't make a surprise party like this, said a very confused Luffy. Well, that was because you were a kid, but now you're a teenager, which means you can drink, said one of the crew members. I just turned 12. Thought Luffy with a sweat drop on his head. Now drink. Fine, whatever, said Luffy, and then he started to drink. Next morning, it was a splendid sight to see. The crew members of the Yonko, who were supposed to be terrifying, were now lying on the floor sleeping. Luffy then proceeded to take a picture so that he could use it as blackmail to threaten Shanks of sending it to Makino. As he was stepping towards the kitchen, Luffy heard a bird calling. Looking up, he saw that it was the news coup. He paid for the newspaper, and when he picked it up, a paper dropped out. Looking with more attention, he realized what the paper was. Awoken from the outburst, the crew members started to wake up, wondering who was the bastard that was making all the noise. When they noticed a sparkling Luffy holding a piece of paper, they asked him what had happened. Luffy then proceeded to show them the paper and their jaws dropped. The paper was the bounty of Straw Hat Luffy, who had Luffy grinning to the camera while waving. He also had darkness coming off of him, looking like a fool but still dangerous. And he also had a reward of 80 million berries. Well, they knew Lojas tended to have larger bounties, and that was probably why Luffy had a bounty at 12 years old. 80 million berries was still huge for a starting bounty. Well, he did have what was considered the strongest Loja devil fruit, but still. However, this needed to be celebrated, so they started to drink again, even though they had already an hangover. In Fuchsia village, Lucy was happy. Not only her brother was okay, he also had a bounty. A pretty huge one. Look, Makino. Doesn't Luffy look badass? Asked Lucy. Yeah, he does, answered Makino while giggling. But I'm more badass, right? Said a 15-years-old Ace. Nope, said both girls without hesitating, leaving a depressed Ace on the floor. Rabble 7. Garp's yearly visits were something that he never looked forward to. The man would take Luffy for a week and unleashed hell on him on some random island, saying that Shanks was too soft on him. It didn't help having a devil fruit that absorbed pain, so Garp had said that he needed to build a high endurance to it, increasing the intensity of the one-sided beatings that he classified as training. Which is why a beaten up Luffy was laying on the ground while Garp was laughing at him. Wahahaha, you've got a little better, Luffy, said Garp. Shut up, thought Luffy. So I've heard that your bounty went up. They must be crazy thinking you're worth 160 million berries, said Garp, trying to piss off his grandson, in which he succeeded. I'll show you then, roared Luffy while getting up. That's the spirit, roared Garp, preparing his fist of love. They roared both at the same time with their hockey-coated fists colliding, creating a shockwave. Back at the ship, the crew members were awing at the display, while Shanks was looking at the island with a sweat drop. Barely our family, those two. Rabble 8. Luffy was on the verge of killing him. They had met with the Whitebeard since news of Ace joining them were starting to spread around. It was all going well until Luffy saw him. Marshall D. Teach. Luffy knew he had to keep calm for his plan to work, but it was taking all of his willpower to not go next to him and rip his head off. Especially when he started laughing. Shanks knew of this, and so he formulated a plan where Luffy would ask Ace for a spar to then activate his powers. He had to warn Whitebeard himself though, so that he could order his crew to keep their observation hockey activated. After it, Luffy would proceed the day as normal as it could be, but always with Shanks. Then when he went to bed, Shanks and Whitebeard's first commander Marco, or as Luffy liked to call him, Pineapple Head, would wait with their auras repressed to not set any alarms and sneak attack Teach. They then would be brought to justice in front of Shanks and Whitebeard, and probably Ace since Luffy's his younger brother. Luffy decided to start a plan, signaling to Lucky Roo, who then signaled to Yasop, who then signaled to Ben, who then signaled to Shanks, and finally signaling to Luffy. Why was it needed all of this signaling, no one knew. Hey Ace, let's fight. Sometime later, Luffy could feel him entering his room, his murdering intent was high, and he could already hear his laugh. That was until a sword was pressed against his neck, making him look at a pissed off Shanks. And that was the moment that Teach knew he fucked up. Now Teach was in a room with Whitebeard, Shanks, Ben, Marco, a very pissed off Ace and Luffy. You tried to kill a sworn sibling of one of your comrades all for a devil fruit. Any family of my sons is considered my family as well, which means you treat to kill a family member. What do you have to say for yourself? Said Whitebeard with a touch of hockey on his words to make them more menacing. That fruits is the strongest of them all. It's wasted on an idiot like that kid over there. Said Blackbeard. That idiot is going to be the next pirate king, so you better shut the fuck up before I'll kill you. Exclaimed Ace. Luffy was stunned hearing this, he had never heard Ace say that since he thought that Ace wanted Whitebeard to be the pirate king. Yeah right, like him could be the pie. Pick your words very carefully Teach. Said Shanks, I don't take kindly people insulting my student. Luffy couldn't hide the pride and the happiness he had while hearing these words. It just warmed his heart. Well Teach, since you were going to break the iron rule I'll have no choice but executing you. The way of the execution however will be decided by the brat over there said Whitebeard. Everyone looked at Luffy who previously glared at Whitebeard for calling him a brat, but now was in deep thought. Suddenly he started grinning and exclaimed loudly. I have an idea. Outside at the deck of the Moby Dick. Any last words Teach? Said Ace, who volunteered to be the one to execute Teach. Fuck you. Said Teach while smiling. Suit yourself. Said Ace. He then proceeded to shove a devil fruit in Teach's mouth and pushed him into the ocean. Interesting method Luffy, how the hell did you came up with this idea? Said Ace. Well it just came upon my head. Said Luffy while rubbing the back of his head. The truth was this was how Luffy finished off Blackbeard on their fight. The fighting end for a greedy man. Said Shanks while looking at the ocean. Well now that is over let's go to sleep. It's past you bedtime anchor. Teased Shanks. Damn you. Said a pissed off Luffy while the rest of them laughed. Rabble 9. Tsubati Archipelago. The place where Luffy had experienced one of the worst things in his life. Now he was there, but it was to meet a certain man. So you're the one that Shanks chose huh? Said Silvers Rayleigh, with amusement on his voice. Luffy nodded yeah. I'm going to become Pirate King. He said excitedly. So you want to conquer Roger's seas? Rayleigh said. Luffy was silent for a while, like the rest of the room waiting for Luffy's answer. I don't want to conquer anything. It's just the Pirate King is the one with the most freedom of the seas. Said Luffy. Rayleigh had a look of shock that changed to a look of recognition to then a look of pride. Then you better be Pirate King kid. Brabble 10. What the hell is this? Shrieked Luffy. It's the first edition of the Grand Line magazine. It contains information about the Grand Line and it also has a part for men and women. Said Shanks. Well I can see that. I'm just wondering what is this? Said a very pissed off Luffy while showing an article of him in the girls section. The topic was the most hot guys sailing the Grand Line and one of the candidates was Luffy himself. Luffy's new bounty picture was there, which showed a smirking Luffy with his straw hat on his head, and another picture that was taken without Luffy knowing, which was Luffy with his straw hat around his neck, black shorts and an open red vest, Eni's lobby outfit, but the vest is opened. I've never heard of this magazine on my previous life why the hell is it being released? Said Luffy. Maybe it's just yearly and you just missed it since you total spent a year sailing, with a 2-year break in between. Tried to invent Shanks. Luffy narrowed his eyes at Shanks and said, whatever, at least I'm here while you're not, which means you're too old and ugly. What did you just say you brat? Said an enraged Shanks. I'm also wondering if they had permission to do this since I'm only 16. Said Luffy while running away from Shanks. I just hope no one from my crew saw this thought Luffy. TCHY I am wasting time running to catch a brat who was reading the girls section. Exclaimed Shanks, which made their crew members laugh. They put Mihawk instead of you. Said Luffy. They what? Screamed Shanks while taking off the magazine and started searching it. Well look who's reading the girls section now. Said Luffy with a mischievous glint in his eye. That made the crew erupt in laughter at a now embarrassed captain who suddenly started shaking with rage. I'm so going to kill you Luffy. There it was, Luffy's hometown, Fuchsia Village. It has been 10 years since he last had saw it and he was only going to be there for a week before departing again. Luffy saw Lucy again, who had grown into a fine young woman with long black hair that reached her waist and hergless figure, a red tank top and blue shorts, and she was shorter than Luffy because of her devil fruit powers. After teasing Luffy about his article that had been hanged at Party's bar and partying for the week, it was time to start sailing again. Got everything Luffy? Asked a fisherman of the village. Yeah I have everything on the boat that Shanks lent me. Said Luffy. He was now 6'1" tall, 186 centimeters for the rest of the world, had his new world attire, in which it consisted on an open cardigan, yellow sash, blue shorts and his straw hat. He also was more muscled than before and he was slightly stronger than his previous life after the 2 years of training, stronger than basic Luffy, but weaker than Gear 2nd Luffy. His smasher was in his dark realm, as he liked to call it, for convenience. He also was capable of using Zoro and Geppo proficiently and Rankyaku he could use, but it wasn't perfected yet. The others he didn't care. Now let's set sail, Lucy. Hi. However, this wasn't going to be a calm start, for the Sea King, whose name was Lord of the Coast, appeared, trying to scare the inhabitants of the boat. Trying. Let's hit him together, sis, said Luffy while preparing his legs. Of course, bro, said Lucy while preparing her fist. Luffy then started to use Geppo to get close to the Sea King, while Lucy prepared to stretch arm, and so, with the power of siblings combined, they punched it right in the face, knocking him out. Gomu Gomu no sibling cannon. Luffy then proceeded to ask Lucy, did Makino give you the box? Yeah, she did. There was a book there about something called hockey who I couldn't be bothered to read, so I asked Makino to read it, and a notebook involving my devil fruit. But why did you had it? Said Lucy. No biggie. Now did you learn the stuff from it? Asked Luffy. Yeah, I unlocked and mastered armament while I just unlocked observation. I mastered your so-called gear 2nd and gear 3rd, but gear 4th is really hard, said a pouting Lucy. No wonder your aura increased so much, Lucy, you're really strong. But don't worry, you'll master it in no time, said a grinning Luffy. Yeah, you're right, now let's go, said a beaming Lucy. And so Luffy's adventure begins. Again. On a small boat in the waters of the East Blue, there were 2 human beings, a girl and a boy. These people may look normal, but they were about to change the world. Why are you looking at that compass and that map, Luffy? Asked a girl while she was laying beside the railing with her hands behind her head. It's called navigation, Lucy, and now be quiet, I'm trying to sense nearby presences, said the boy, who was looking intensely at the map while trying to figure it out. What island did he meet Coby? While Luffy could now navigate on his own, he still wasn't Nami, which means he could just avoid natural disasters, like the whirlpool that he confronted on his previous life. Meanie, said Lucy while pouting. Luffy sighed. Was this how his nakama felt like when he started acting like a child? If so, then it was no wonder he would always get beaten up. Luffy then sensed various presences, and when he looked at the map he grinned. He had just reached the island where he had met Coby for the first time. The darkness human proceeded to dock the boat on the other side of the island so that they wouldn't go noticed and get sunk. He may be strong enough for the new world, but he still was a hammer in the water just like his sister, and he didn't want them to get freaked out by watching him performing Geppo, so he decided to make the sneaky approach. After walking, they got to a beach where Alvida's ship was docked. There was also 2 houses built along with a flag of the Alvida pirates. Luffy then saw young Coby getting kicked off of the ship. Even though he was a marine, he was still Luffy's friend, so he decided to show himself. How about you leave the kid alone? Said the Straw Hat Man while what looked like his sister popped up next to him, grinning. Who the hell are you? Said one of the pirates. Luffy ignored him and started walking towards them, but was stopped by a hand on his shoulder. Let me handle this, Luffy. Besides, I need to show my brother how strong I've become, said Lucy while winking at him. Luffy shrugged and proceeded to walk into the storage building to catch something to eat. The pirates were going to stop him from going there when they got punched in the face by the girl. Your opponent is me, said the girl. The pirates started to laugh at her because no one in their right state of mind would believe that a little girl could defeat them. That all changed when Lucy proceeded to attack Gomu Gomu no Whip, which knocked out all of the pirates, making Alvida shake with rage. Meanwhile, at the storage room, Luffy was now eating. Since he was a darkness human, he literally was a black hole, which means he needed to eat a lot. But Luffy had the company of Coby, who was now pale and sweating in fear. Why did you leave your sister alone out there? It's Avita-sama that she's facing, she's going to get killed, exclaimed the pink-haired boy. Luffy started laughing and said, don't worry, she's really strong, probably could defeat every pirate on the East Blue. Now what is a wimp like you doing on a pirate ship? Luffy didn't feel like insulting his old friend, but he had to bring the inner determination of Coby out so that he could become the strong marine from before. Coby started crying comically tears while telling his story of how 2 years ago he was going to be on a fishing trip when he accidentally walked on a pirate ship. Luffy started laughing since while the situation was something you would expect from Zoro, it still was pretty dumb to accidentally walk on a pirate ship. So you're an idiot. Why haven't you tried to escape? Asked the black-haired man. No way. Alvida would kill me, cried Coby. Oh, so you're an idiot and a coward. I hate people like you, exclaimed Luffy while using a joyful voice. Coby then proceeded to ask, Luffy-san, why are you and your sister sailing? Oh, I want to be Pirate King, and Lucy wants to be the strongest woman in the world, said the man. Coby blinked and then yelled what? Asked Luffy. You can't be Pirate King, it's impossible. Staying at the top of the pirate era is impossible, being stronger than one of the Yonkou, it's impossible. 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 Coby didn't say anything else because Luffy smacked him in the back of his head. It doesn't matter if it's impossible or not. Me and Lucy decided to follow our dreams and we don't care if we die from it. Luffy said with a determined gaze that just looked badass. Coby, shocked by the words that Luffy said, proceeded to ask him. Then could I do it? Could I become what I most dream for? Could I become a marine? You can become anything you want, Coby, as long as you work hard for it, said the man with the straw hat. Coby then stood up and in the most determined voice he yelled. I'll do it. I'll train hard and then I'll become a marine admiral. That's the spirit, now let's step outside. Lucy probably finished her fight already, said Luffy while moving towards the door. When they stepped outside they saw all of the pirates on the floor, Lucy sitting on the railing while swinging her legs and with no sign of Alvida. Lucy then dropped off the railing and ran to her brother. I already beat them 10 minutes ago while you were chatting up this kid. I also sended the fat whale flying somewhere. Now that Coby could see more clearly, he saw how beautiful Lucy was and started blushing. She noticed it and asked, who is he? Is he sick? I'm Coby, stuttered the small boy. Luffy got a sudden feeling of protectiveness for some reason, but he ignored it. He's a kid that wants to become a marine, so we'll just drop him off on the nearest marine base. Oh okay, then hold on to me, said Lucy while stretching her arms to the flag. Luffy and Coby proceeded to grab onto her, but with one glare from Luffy, Coby got the warning of being careful where we would touch. Suddenly Lucy released the tension and they went flying to the other side of the island, crashing onto the sand. Lucy was laughing out loud, Coby had his face on the dirt, and Luffy was cleaning his shorts. Next time we'll use my method of transportation, got it Lucy? Said the man. Lucy grunted and mumbled killjoy while heading towards the ship. Coby, after cleaning himself up, started to review what he had just saw. Did your arms just stretch? Oh yeah they did, I ate the gomu gomu no mi, which made me a rubber woman, said Lucy while stretching her cheek to abnormal distances. Coby nearly fainted hearing this, so Luffy decided to not tell him about his powers. Sometime later, as the boat was sailing the sea, Lucy proceeded to ask Coby, hey, when I was about to hit that fat hippo, she mentioned a guy named Zoro, do you know him? Yeah, he's known as the pirate hunter, but now he's kept captive at the marine base in Shell's Town. Why do you ask? Answered Coby. No reason, Luffy, what do you think? Said the girl while grinning at Luffy. Luffy also grinned and said, if he's strong I'll invite him to my crew. You can't be serious, he's known as a demon, he'll just slaughter you, said the small boy who now was waving his arms trying to make his point reach Luffy, but he failed. Smack. Ow, what was that for? Cried Coby. You were being annoying, responded Luffy. Smack. Ow. What the hell, Lucy? Said the pissed off Luffy while glaring at his sister. You didn't need to hit him. It's okay Coby, he won't hit you anymore, said Lucy while hugging Coby, who was now red as a tomato. However, when he looked at Luffy he saw a devilish aura that screamed, let go of my sister or else, which Coby complied to. Let's just move on, said Luffy while looking at the horizon. Zoro, I'm coming for you and this time I'm going to make sure you'll become the world's greatest swordsman. Shell's Town, we're finally at the marine base. I didn't know you were this good at navigating, Luffy, said Lucy with Luffy at her side while Coby was docking the boat. It's just the basics, Lucy. We need to recruit an actual expert at navigating, said the black-haired man while already knowing who would fulfill the job. The trio proceeded to enter a restaurant called Food Eat. While they were eating, Luffy proceeded to speak. Well Coby, it looks like we'll be splitting ways here, so good luck on being a marine. Thanks, Luffy-san. Although we'll become enemies in the future, I wish you good luck on your pirate career, said the pink-haired boy while wiping his eyes on his sleeve. Now we just have to find Zoro, said the raven-haired girl. However, after hearing the girl's declaration, every costumer suddenly jumped and started to get close to the wall, like they wanted to be as far away as possible from that group. I've got the feeling that we can't just yell out the name Zoro, whispered Coby with a hand close to his mouth. Attempting to change the mood, Coby spoke again. So I just saw a notice outside, apparently someone called Captain Morgan is at the base. After hearing Morgan's name, the crowd jumped back to the wall again. After witnessing the strange event happening for a second time, they left. Now they were on the street with a laughing Lucy and Luffy and a confused Coby. Even though I've been through this, it's still as hilarious as last time, thought the man with the straw hat. What an interesting restaurant. We have to come back here again, said Lucy while holding her belly as she laughed. Coby, who was perplexed by the people's action, decided to put his thoughts on the matter. I've got a bad feeling about this. I mean, I kind of understood their reaction to Zoro's name because of his reputation, but to react that way when hearing the captain's name. Maybe he also did something bad, the girl questioned. That's impossible. He's a marine captain, Coby shouted, like if it was ridiculous the idea of that happening. Coby, do you consider me a bad person? Asked Luffy with his hands behind his head. What, of course not, said the small kid. But I'm a pirate, so by your point of view shouldn't I be a murderer who would rape women and pillage their homes? Said the tall man. Coby was about to respond when suddenly he started to process the true meaning of Luffy's words. If Coby obviously was disgusted by someone being that vile and swore to never become like that. Seeing the determination and resolve on Coby's eyes, Luffy smiled and headed forward to the Marine's base, where his first mate was. "Wow, this thing is really ugly," declared Lucy while looking at the base. "I agree with you, sis, so Coby ready to join the Marines?" asked the black-haired man while looking at the wall that he was going to climb while taking deep breaths to steady his emotion levels. He didn't want Zoro's first impression of him to be a crybaby. "But I'm not prep Luffy-san, Lucy-san, what are you doing?" said Coby while looking at Luffy, who was already on top of the wall and Lucy coming from behind. "Now I wonder where Zoro is?" asked the black-haired girl. "There's no way that they would keep Zoro on the open, he's probably on the dungeon, along with Bellemere who," said the pink-haired boy. "I see him over there," said Luffy while moving to a better spot. Having no other choice, Coby also climbed and what he saw made him jump back in fear. It's him. There's no mistaking it. That bandana and that haramaki, the green thing around his waist. It's Zoro. Those ropes look easy enough to break out of," said Lucy while looking at Zoro. Zoro was tied up to a wooden cross in the middle of the yard. He had his bandana on his head, but his swords couldn't be seen. He also had blood running from his mouth and his face, giving him a devilish aura. "Stop joking. He could kill you," said the short boy. He was later interrupted by a gruff voice. "Hey you. Could you please come untie me? I've been tied up for 9 days and I'm exhausted. I'll even repay you by hunting a fugitive and giving you the bounty. I'm a man of my word," said the man Zoro. If you just hear his voice you could consider him telling the truth. However, with how he looked it was more like he was daring them to free him. "Don't be tricked by him, Luffy-san. If you free him he'll just kill us and escape," said Coby. "Don't worry Coby, my brother and I are stronger than him, so he can't kill us," casually responded Lucy. "Huh?" grunted Zoro. But before anything happened, a ladder appeared next to the trio and a little girl climbed it. She then turned around and shushed them and leapt over the wall. "What the hell is she sewing?" "Luffy-san, stop her," said the boy with the glasses. "Do it yourself," said Luffy. "Hey brat, what are you doing here?" "Get lost," said the tied-up man in the most threatening voice he could say. "I thought you would be hungry since you've been here for a long time, so I decided to make some rice balls for you. It's my first time doing them," said the little girl. "I don't want it, go away. I'll kill you if you don't go," exclaimed Zoro. "Picking on little kids. How classy of you." "Zoro," said a blonde man that was entering the base with 2 Marines by his side. Zoro scoffed, "If it isn't the captain's bastard son." "Watch your tongue, my dad is a Marine captain." "Oh, what's this?" "Rice balls. They look tasty," said the guy whose name was Helmeppo. "Wait. They aren't for you," said the kid. Helmeppo ignored her and started eating them. "Bleh. Why is there sugar on these balls?" "You're supposed to put salt," exclaimed the blonde man with the suit. "But I thought that they would taste better sweet," said the girl, starting to get teary-eyed. "How could someone eat this?" said Helmeppo, who started stomping on the rice balls while laughing, ignoring the pleas of the little girl. Seeing this, Coby understood even better Luffy's words. How could a son of a Marine do this? That's so cruel. I worked so hard on making them, said the kid while starting to cry. No wonder I hate little brats, the only thing they know is to cry, said the blonde man with a hand on his forehead. It's your fault, you know. Didn't you read the sign? Anyone who helps a criminal will be charged with the same crime. Marine Captain Morgan. You know how scary my dad is, right? You would have gotten the death penalty if you were grown up. Boy, throw this brat out. Helmeppo ordered to a Marine. But sir. No buts. Are you trying to disobey me? I'll tell my father, said the blonde man while gripping the Marine's collar. I, sir. The kid was suddenly thrown out the wall, but Lucy grabbed her in midair, saving the kid from a hard fall. Coby rapidly started checking the kid for wounds, while Luffy was still on top of the wall, glaring and rapidly thinking, he's going to be good, he's going to be good, he's going to be good. I didn't think you had this kind of endurance, Zoro. You still have to live for the rest of the month if you want to get released, said Helmeppo. You better keep your promise, said Zoro. When he looked up, he noticed a man with a straw hat right in front of him, with a beautiful girl that looked similar to him. You still here? Leave her, the brat will tell his father. I'm looking for someone to join my pirate fleet, said Luffy while grinning. So, you decided to give up on life, huh? Said the man with the bandana on his head. It's my dream and I'll do anything to accomplish it, so don't you dare talk about it like that, said the black-haired man. Zoro's eyes glinted when he heard the word dream. You're going to set me free and force me to join you then? Said Zoro while grinning sadistically. Everyone here thinks you're a bad guy, so Luffy hasn't decided yet, said Lucy with her hands crossed. A bad guy, huh? I'll never join you. I still have a promise to fulfill. I'm going to endure this for 1 month and make my dreams come true. Exclaimed the tied-up man with conviction on his voice. Really? I probably would have starved to death in 1 week. Said the girl. Well, that's one of the reasons why we're different, now go find someone else to join you. He noticed the man trembled a bit, but maybe it was his mind that started to make hallucinations. Although he had the feeling that he saw the man with the straw hat somewhere before. When they started to leave, Zoro quickly called out to them. Hey, hold on. Can you pick that up for me? Lucy looked where the man was looking and saw the remains of the rice ball. Are you sure you want to eat his? It's all muddy. Shut it and give it to me. Said Zoro. Lucy put the ball on his mouth, which Zoro proceeded to eat it. After coughing, sweating and crying a bit, he managed to swallow it. Tell that little girl that the rice balls tasted very good. When they left, Luffy approached Lucy. You go on ahead, I'll catch up later, okay? Okay, Luffy. After making sure Lucy was quite a bit ahead, Luffy went to a nearby alley while shaking. When he reached it and assured himself that no one was watching, he opened the floodgates. WWWAA. Luffy couldn't handle it any longer. Seeing one of his crew members alive filled him with such happiness that he could nearly burst. If it wasn't for his emotional training that he took so that he wouldn't freak them out when they would meet again, he probably would have latched onto Zoro and started to cry. He got a little hurt when Zoro refused to join, but he remembered that apart from Robin and Brook, everyone refused at first. Cleaning his eyes, he then walked towards the place where Coby, Lucy and Rika were. Meanwhile, really? He ate all of it? I'm so happy. Said the little girl. Is he really that much of a horrible person like the rumors say? Said Coby. He didn't do anything wrong. Everyone is afraid of him because he killed Helmeppo's wolf while protecting me. Helmeppo got angry and arrested him. Said the kid. The only bad guys here are the Morgans. You'll get executed if you disobey them. Who dares to raise his head? I'll tell my dad and you'll end up like Roronoa Zoro, who's going to be executed in 3 days. Said Helmeppo. Looking back, Lucy saw Helmeppo walking on the street with his marine bodyguards while the people were bowing. But before she could say anything, she heard her brother speaking. 3 days. Didn't you say that you would be giving him a month? Said Luffy with his straw hat shadowing his eyes. Yeah, I was just joking with him. Only an idiot would believe that. Said the blonde man. Luffy couldn't handle it any longer, so he backhanded Helmeppo through a wall. And another one. And another one. Luffy-san. Please calm down. Said Coby while holding Luffy back, even though Luffy could get rid of him easily. I've decided. I'm going to get Zoro on my crew. Said the black-haired man. He knocked out the captain's son. This is bad. Captain Morgan won't be happy. But damn, that man's strong. He sent Helmeppo flying through walls with just his hand. That was so cool. Said the little girl. Rika. What are you doing talking to strangers? You could be mistaken by one of their friends. Said what was probably Rika's mom. But mom, he's nice. Just like Zoro. Said Rika. Did you go to the execution site again? That's it. You won't leave the house now. Said the woman, while Rika was looking with sadness to Luffy and his friends. Coby, stay here and get a lot of food since Zoro will be hungry, then head towards the base. Lucy and I will be already heading towards it. Okay, let's go pick up Zoro. Said Lucy while jumping in the air. Meanwhile at Morgan's office. I am great. Said a blonde muscular man with tanned skin and his back turned to the door, looking like a villain from a James Bond movie. Yes, you are Captain Morgan. Said nervously a marine soldier. But lately the offerings have been decreasing. Said Morgan, still with his back turned. About that, the citizens have their financial problems too, sir. Said the soldier. It's not about the financial problems, it's because they don't respect me. Said the captain. Okay, sir. I've also received reports that your son has been knocked unconscious by a stranger. Said the marine. Was my son wearing the purple suit? Asked Morgan. Yeah. Then he deserved it. Said the marine captain. At the execution site. Boy, what are you doing here? Didn't I say I wasn't going to join you? Said Zoro, who still looked as dirty as ever. I'm Luffy and I'm going to break the rope so that you can join me. Exclaimed Luffy, who was already moving to free Zoro. I already told you I'm not going to be a bad guy. Why do you care? Everyone already thinks you're a bad guy. Said Lucy, who was tilting her head while looking at the swordsman. I don't care what people think. I haven't done a single thing I regret doing. Said the pirate hunter. Well, if you don't care what people think, then you shouldn't care if you were a pirate. Mihawk is the best swordsman in the world and he's a pirate. He's a lone wolf though. Besides, Helmeppo said that he would execute you in 3 days, so you have to join me if you want to make your dreams come true. Said the pirate captain, grinning inside his head because he knew that he got Zoro in the bag right now. What? That bastard. Exclaimed Zoro. After calming down, he said, well, if what you said was the truth, then I guess I'll join you. I need my katanas first though. No problem. Lucy, can you go look for Zoro's katana? I'll give you meat. Said Luffy while looking at his sister. A second passed and Lucy was already running towards the door of the marine base. "So, who's the girl, Captain?" asked Zoro. "Oh, she's my twin sister, so you better watch out your future actions," said Luffy while looking at Zoro with the most threatening face that he could master. While nowhere near Nami's level, he still managed to scare Zoro a little, which made him laugh. "Don't worry, I'm just joking with you, I know you wouldn't be that stupid to do something like that. Also for your information, she's really strong." Laughing again and freak out Zoro even more, Luffy broke the ropes with pure strength, setting Zoro free. "Okay, now we wait for Coby to bring the food since you're probably starving right now," said the tall man. After cleaning his clothes, Zoro leaned against the pole, waiting for his feast. Meanwhile at the marine base, "Now where are Zoro's katanas?" wondered Lucy, who was opening every door and looking with the eyes of a falcon to find Zoro's swords. While looking for them, she noticed a sign on the door that said, "My room." "They better be here, I'm hungry already." Opening the door, she noticed it was a room of a princess, except for the armory near the wall. Looking more closely, she noticed 3 katanas there. Found them. Tying them to her back, she then started thinking about why there weren't any marines in sight. Activating her observation haki, she sensed them on the roof and decided to see what was going on. Entering the roof, she saw a bunch of marines trying to lift a statue, while what looked like the strongest of them all was sitting back ordering them. "Boy, what are you guys doing?" asked the black-haired girl, getting all the attention towards her. "Sir. She was with the group that beat up your son," said a random marine. "Even though he deserved it, you're still violating the law, so I'll have to catch you," said Morgan while pointing his axe hand towards her. "Sorry, no can do, I have stuff to do," said Lucy. She then started running towards the statue and jumped a little so that she could bring enough force to do a great leap. However, thanks to that, she broke the statue in half. Every marine including Morgan dropped their jaws at the sight of a girl breaking the statue with just her leg strength. "Sorry," said the girl while falling down. When she fell, she rolled on the ground and got up, surprising yet again the marines. "That bitch. Arrest her," ordered a very pissed off Morgan. "Well, that was fun. Shushy," said Lucy while laughing. Behind her you could see the statue falling down and breaking. "How the hell did you survive that fall?" asked Zoro, who now could see that his captain wasn't lying when he boasted about the girl's strength. "Oh, I ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi, which turned me into a rubber woman," said Lucy while stretching her cheeks to abnormal distances, creeping out Zoro even more. "So, you ate a devil fruit, huh? No wonder you broke that statue," said a man behind her. Looking back, she noticed that it was Morgan and his soldiers with their guns ready. "It's no use since you'll be dying right now. Men fire," ordered the marine captain. Hearing this, Lucy quickly went to the path of the bullets and took them on. "Oh, you, what the hell are you doing?" exclaimed Zoro. He then shut up when he saw the bullet stretching Lucy's skin, only to be rebounded. "Like I said, I'm a rubber woman, bullets don't work on me," said the girl. "Humph, if guns don't work then attack her with swords, men," said Morgan while trying to lift up the marine's beard. "What the hell are you?" wondered the swordless swordsman. "Are you deaf or retarded? My name is Monkey D. Lucy, rubber woman, and I'm going to become the strongest woman in the world. Here's your swords, by the way. And I'm Monkey D. Luffy and I'm going to become Pirate King," said Luffy while grinning. Zoro glared at Lucy for her remark and treatment of his swords, but then he started grinning. "Looks like I've joined a crew of weird people. I'm going to become the world's greatest swordsman, and if you'll try to stop that, I'll cut open your stomach." "That's great. It would be embarrassing if the Pirate King didn't have the best," said Luffy. "Well, how about you show your skills, Zoro, while I'll wait for Coby back at the entrance." "Lucy, you stay here." "Roger, Captain," said Zoro, while Lucy just nodded and started cracking her knuckles. "Zoro, duck," warned Lucy. "Gomu Gomu no whip." After the attack, all the marines were knocked out. "You bastards, I'll execute you," screamed Morgan. "Onigiri." Morgan couldn't say anything else because he suddenly was cut by Zoro. "Nice, Zoro," said Luffy, now with a stunned Coby and a large bag of food. "No problem, Captain." "Amazing," breathed out Coby. "They defeated the captain so easily. Then that means we're free." The marines suddenly started to celebrate their captain's defeat since they were also afraid of him. Zoro was also celebrating, but it was mostly because of the food and sake that he had in front of him. Later at the restaurant, "You guys are really amazing," said Rika. "Yep, we are," replied the future Pirate King. "So, Captain, what's our plan now?" asked Zoro, who now without the bandana you could see his green hair. "It's obvious, we're going to the Grand Line. After getting more crucial crew members first," said Luffy. The celebration was interrupted when the marines entered the building. "Are you pirates?" "Yeah, we are," said Lucy. "While we are extremely happy that Captain Morgan was defeated, we are still marines, so we demand that you leave this town. Since you helped us, we won't be reporting this incident to Marine headquarters." The marine voice was steady, but you could see the slight tremble of his knees. Wanting to test something, Luffy stood up and what he saw proved his theory true. The Marine stiffened and started sweating when he saw Luffy stand up, which only meant one thing. He had been recognized. "Well, I appreciate that you won't be denouncing us to the headquarters, so we'll leave." "Let's go, Zoro, Lucy." As they were standing up so that they could leave, Coby stayed behind. Seeing this, the Marine quickly asked Luffy, "Isn't he with you?" Luffy looked back and said, "That wimp. Just look at him. As if I wanted a shrimp like him on my crew." Coby started to tear up, wasn't Luffy his friend? But when he was about to speak, he saw Luffy winking at him without any Marine noticing it. "Well then leave," said the Marine. After they left, Coby proclaimed to the Marines that he wanted to join them. One of the soldiers quickly opposed to that idea, but the commander stopped him, saying that he would let him join, even though they already knew of his past. As they were about to leave the island, they heard Coby calling them while he was saluting them. He was later joined by the Marine group. "Never thought I would see Marines saluting pirates," said Zoro. "Don't worry, Coby, I'm sure we will see each other again," said Lucy while waving her arms. "Next time we meet, Coby, we'll be at the top, got it?" said Luffy. Coby nodded, and that's how the departing of the soon-to-be Straw Hat pirates went. After the departure, Luffy looked to the horizon. "I've got Zoro, now next thing to do is recruiting you, Nami." "Wow, it actually will take less than a week to get there," thought Luffy with a sweat drop running on his head. They had defeated Captain Morgan, and now they were heading towards Orange Town. "Hey, I see something over there," exclaimed Lucy from her spot at the front of the boat. Luffy activated his observation haki and what he sensed made him freeze. It was a presence that he hadn't felt in a long time, but he would never forget. "What is it, Lucy?" asked Zoro, who was napping against the railing. "It looks like a boat and it has some orange-haired girl on it. I also see a chest," she said. "So, what do we do, Luffy?" Luffy now was taking his deep breaths while thinking blue ocean, waterfall, spring repeatedly on his head. He stopped and turned to Lucy. "Let's go to her." Luffy didn't expect to see his navigator so soon, which means that he wasn't totally prepared to see her again. So when he saw her clearly, he couldn't stop gasping. She was hanging limply on the railing of her dinghy with a treasure chest, and if it weren't for his haki, you sensed that her aura was strong, he would think that she was sick. "Hey, are you dead?" asked the black-haired girl. Am I dreaming? I actually found someone in this vast ocean. I don't know who you are, but can you please give me some water and food? If you want money, I'll give it to you, but please save me," said the orange-haired girl. Lucy looked at Luffy for what should she do, and when she saw him serious to suddenly starting to grin mischievously, she reciprocated the grin. Zoro was looking at them, clearly confused twin telepathy. Lucy looked at the girl with the orange hair and proceeded to stretch her arms around her and the treasure chest she had. This had obviously scared the living hell of Nami, who started shrieking. Lucy proceeded to lift them to their boat, and when she set her arms free, Nami suddenly started to run to the railing and screaming, "What are you?" "Oh, I ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi, which turned me into a rubber woman," Lucy said, while stretching her cheeks to further prove her point. "Ate? Wait, you don't mean a devil fruit?" asked a pale Nami. "Yeah." Nami couldn't speak, she just kept making noises. She had just tried to rip off a small crew that contained a devil fruit user, especially one that could stretch. "I would be so dead if they believed in me," she thought. "Here's your food and water." Nami looked to her left and saw a man with a straw hat giving her provisions. She accepted and started to eat them. "It's funny, you look like you were near starvation, and suddenly you turned healthy," said a green-haired man with 3 swords by his side. Nami gulped, and when she started to answer, she was interrupted by the black-haired man. "It's rude to not give your name when meeting new people, Zoro." "Sorry about that, let me introduce myself. My name is Monkey D. Luffy, and what is your name?" said Luffy. For some reason the name felt familiar to Nami. Did she hear it on the news? My name is Nami." Luffy, deciding to use one of the Shanks' famous techniques of charming, grabbed the back of Nami's hand and kissed it while saying, "It's a pleasure to meet you." Nami's face was beet red, and before she could say anything she was interrupted by Luffy's laugh that was echoing on the ocean. "Shisha shisha shisha, you're your face. Shisha shisha ha ha ha," said Luffy between laughs while rolling on the floor. Smack. "You fucking idiot." Nami couldn't hold herself. The guy does something like that, and then he starts laughing at her embarrassed face. What a prick. She started to regret what she did when she felt cold steel at her throat. "That was my captain you just punched, so I guess I'll have to kill you." "Wait, Zoro." Zoro looked at where Luffy was. He was sitting near the railing with a bruise on the side of his face. "I kind of deserved it, so don't do anything, okay? Now state your name." "Ugh, fine. My name is Rarano Zoro." "Rarano Zoro? Wait, the pirate hunter?" "Ex-pirate hunter," said Zoro. Nami was stunned. The pirate hunter, who was known as the strongest swordsman of the East Blue, and a devil fruit user being subordinates of what looked like a normal guy, was too weird to believe. "Well then, my name is Monkey D. Lucy. I'm Luffy's twin sister." So, the hammer was the captain's sister. Well, they do look alike with the exception of height and the sexual differences. Since they all introduced themselves, Nami started talking. So where are you guys going? We're heading towards Orange Town. There's a rumor that a pirate named Buggy has a map to the Grand Line, and since that's our destination we're going to take it," said the captain. After receiving this information, Nami couldn't help but think, these guys are strong, I mean the pirate hunter and the monster girl. And if that guy is the captain, that means he's stronger than them. Not only that, but they have the same destination as me with the same objective. Nami's senses started to tingle, and then she exclaimed, "We have to get out of here, a storm's coming from the south." "Huh?" said Zoro and Lucy. But before any of them could protest, they heard Luffy. "You heard her, let's get away from this storm," he ordered. After sailing away from it, Lucy asked Nami with sparkling eyes, "That was so cool. How did you know there was a storm coming? You're even better than Luffy." Nami smiled smugly and said, "I predicted it, of course. I'm the best navigator you'll ever find." "Well then, want to join us?" "We don't have a navigator yet," Luffy asked Nami. "Join you?" "Yeah, join our pirate crew," Lucy said. Nami's eyes widened at this information, and Luffy could already feel the despise on her aura at hearing the word pirate. "You're pirates?" "Yeah," casually affirmed Zoro. Nami's eyes narrowed, and then she said, "Pirates are the most disgusting thing on this planet, I'll never be one. So, I propose an alliance instead. I'll navigate you guys in exchange for all the treasure you find, since you guys look strong." She then lifted a hand deal. Before any of them could protest, Luffy gave Nami a high five and said, "Of course. Now let's go to Orange Town. You're just happy that you don't have to navigate anymore," said the swordsman. Luffy laughed because now he has Nami. Temporarily, but it wouldn't take much longer until she became an official member. Time skip to Orange Town. After reaching Orange Town, they decided to head towards a house near Buggy's base. Luffy stayed behind and then headed towards an alley to cry of happiness. He compassed himself and caught up to the others and entered the house. "So, let's form a plan," said the navigator. "I'll take Luffy with a rope, claiming that he was my former boss, and then deliver him to Buggy. While they're drinking, I'll steal the treasure, you guys free Luffy and then escape." "Nope." All heads turned to Luffy. "What's wrong with my plan?" asked Nami, a little angry that someone was claiming her to be wrong. She had the highest IQ by far on Kokoyashi village, and this guy is trying to give her bad reputation. "Your plan is good, but it's too boring. Let's do it like this, Lucy and Zoro are going to create a distraction by fighting against the pirates, while you'll be going to steal the treasure and the map." "What about you?" asked Nami. "I have something to do in this town. So, any objections?" Lucy and Zoro agreed to this plan, but Nami didn't seem too fond of the idea of fighting the Buggy pirates. "Are you guys mad? You'll be fighting against Buggy the clown with a bounty of 15 million berries." Luffy almost snickered when he heard Nami talk about Buggy's bounty like it was one of the biggest bounties of the world. But this was the East Blue, so it was understandable. "Man, I can't wait to go to the New World again. I'll die of boredom if I continue on this ocean." "Don't worry, Nami, they can handle it. Now let's go," said the man with the straw hat. 10 minutes later. Buggy's temporary base. "So, shall we start with the plan?" asked Zoro, who was already grinning at the prospect of a fight. "Yeah, I guess," said Nami, who was already thinking of the riches that Buggy had. "Okay then, hey you big ugly red nose," exclaimed Lucy to the bar where Buggy was. Zoro's and Nami's jaws dropped, and before they could hear anything they heard, "Fire the Buggy special cannonball to whoever insulted me." "Are you trying to kill you?" said Zoro and Nami. The cannon fire was heard, and when it was nearing Lucy, she breathed in and started to swell. Gomu Gomu no balloon. She caught the ball with her belly, which received a shocked face from the spectators, then proceeded to rebound it back to Buggy. Kaboom. "Well, their numbers have certainly decreased, let's go," said the green-haired man with the bandana tied on his head. "Wog, I don't understand anymore. I'm just going to steal the treasure," said Nami, who looked like she had given up on life. "Are you enjoying chatting around?" said a figure that was in the smoke. "They used their chromatis as shields," said the orange-haired girl. When the smoke cleared, it revealed a man who had the attire of a clown and another man who had half of his hair shaved with a scarf around his neck. "I'm so mad, words fail me," said Buggy, who had his hands floating around. "This is probably the most humiliating moment of our crew, Captain," said Kabaji, who was holding 3 random guys by their collars. "His hand is floating," said Nami. "I ate the bara no mi, which turned me into a split human. Thanks to that, swordsmen are useless against me." Zoro's eyes widened at this information, a fruit that could make a fool out of swordsmen. "He's a monster," said Lucy. "Like you're one to talk," roared the other 2 crew members. "However, what that girl did wasn't normal. Did you perhaps eat a devil fruit?" Hearing Buggy asking her a question, Lucy stretched her cheeks and said, "Yeah, I ate the Gomu Gomu no mi, which turned me into a rubber woman." "I see. Well, since Moji isn't here right now, guess we'll have to handle this, Kabaji." "I'm more than enough, Captain." Kabaji then started to pedal on the unicycle he was standing on and rushed to slice Lucy, but he was stopped by Zoro. You're a swordsman, so you'll be my opponent. As you wish. The two men separated and started to battle. Acrobat technique fire trick attacked Kabaji by breathing fire towards Zoro's face. Zoro, surprised by the attack, covered his eyes, which led to Kabaji having an opportunity to kick him on the side. Zoro grunted from the attack but regained his composure quickly, but Kabaji attacked again by spreading a cloud of dust using his speed. Acrobat technique murder miss trick. Zoro concentrated on trying to be aware of Kabaji, who tried to surprise attack Zoro, but he had blocked it. Stepping back, Kabaji smirked. I see that your reputation doesn't fail you, Urano Zoro. Zoro took a deep breath and said, my goal is to become the world's greatest swordsman, now TCH, impudent fool. Said Kabaji. Zoro proceeded to cross his arms and point his swords up. I'm sick of your stupid little tricks. Then I'll defeat you using my real sword skills. Said Kabaji, who was now pedaling with his swords pointing towards Zoro. Onigiri. In an instant Zoro passed by Kabaji swinging his 3 swords, giving him 3 slices across his chest. Being defeated be mere thieves, weakly said Kabaji. We're not thieves, we're pirates. Said Zoro. Nice Zoro. Now it's our turn to fight Baggy. Said Lucy, who was already winding up her arm. It's Buggy, you bitch. Roared Buggy, but wait, you're pirates. Yeah, we're pirates, now hand over the Grand Line map. Said the girl. Speaking of maps, where's Nami? Said Zoro, who was leaning against a house possibly for a nap. She went already to do her part of the plan. I wonder what my brother's doing. Said Lucy. Meanwhile, near a certain pet store, while the others were fighting, Luffy went to Chow Chow pet food store. When he got there, he noticed the mayor feeding the dog. Hey old man. The man looked to his right and saw a young man with a straw hat on his head walking towards him. He stood up and greeted him. Hello young one, I'm Mayor Boodle. I don't recognize you though, are you from this village? No, I'm not, I was just passing through. I'm Monkey D. Luffy by the way. The mayor gasped, this village is being controlled by Buggy the Clown now. You could have been killed. Don't worry, I'm strong. Besides, my crew has probably almost dealt with the Buggy pirates, the only guys left is the captain and the guy with a lion since I haven't seen him. The mayor was confused. Crew? Was this young lad from a ship? He was about to ask when they heard a rumble. Looking to Luffy's left, they saw a big lion with a guy standing on top of it. That's the vice captain of the Buggy pirates, Moji the beast trainer. Exclaimed Boodle. Boodle started to run to safety, which means Chow Chow and Luffy stayed. This time your treasure will be safe, Chow Chow. Thought Luffy. Moji stopped right in front of them. Look at that, Richie, a pet food store. Want a snack? Moji said. Richie grunted and started to head towards the food store, but noticed a little dog barking at him. What is it, Richie? Oh, look, a dog. Hey, you take your dog out of the way, Richie wants to eat. The dog isn't mine. Taken back by the abrupt response, Moji chuckled darkly, so you have a death wish, huh? Well then, Richie, attack. Moji jumped out of Richie, who was now swiping his paw at Luffy. However, what none of them expected was to Luffy stopping the attack by grabbing Richie's paw. The dog wants to protect the food store, and since I like the dog, I'll help him. Said Luffy. He then proceeded to lift Richie with one hand, jump high in the air and slam him to the ground, knocking the lion unconscious. What, how? Oh, I'm not done. Now it's your turn. Moji knew that he was going to get defeated easily, so he started to run. The man with the straw hat appeared suddenly in front of him. The man turned his back towards Moji and jumped. Since it happened so fast, Moji was still running, which allowed Luffy to put Moji's head on a headlock on his left shoulder and then RKO. Moji was unconscious by the sheer force that Luffy put in the attack. Luffy stood up, cleaned his shorts and walked towards the food store, where Chow Chow and a flabbergasted Boodle were waiting for him. My god, you killed him. Oh no, don't worry, he's just unconscious. Said Luffy. Well, now I'll wait for my crewmates. You also mentioned a crew earlier. What crew is it? Asked Boodle. Luffy smirked. Pirates. Back at Buggy's temporary base again. So, what's your goal then? The Grand Line isn't a place for sightseeing. Said Buggy. To be the strongest woman in the world. Said Lucy. Buggy froze with thought of Big Mom and how Captain Roger didn't even fight her, just stole the poneglyph. Not that he couldn't defeat her, of course, but that woman was a monster. Strongest woman in the world. Yeah right, as if a nameless pirate like you could become something like that. Exclaimed Buggy. I will, and then I'll battle my brother when he becomes Pirate King. The girl said. Buggy froze again. Your brother wants to be the Pirate King. Another hopeless fool. Maybe I should head towards him and show him the harsh reality of the world. He's on this island. He's the captain. Wait, you're not the captain? Buggy asked. Lucy then said. Well, according to him I'm Captain Junior, and I can only evolve to co-captain when I beat him. Buggy thought, if this girl is saying that, then she's weaker than him. It's the East Blue, so in terms of pirates there are none with hockey. Which means the most likely option is that her brother has also a devil fruit. Well, this has been the worst day of my life. Well then, that will only happen if you beat me, so let's start. Yeah. Buggy made the first move by releasing a knife on his boot and separated his feet. Bara windmill. Lucy jumped, which was what Buggy intended. Moving in the air, it's quite impossible, you know. Buggy then proceeded to throw a bunch of knives at Lucy. Are you sure about that? Lucy asked and grabbed onto a pole, dragging herself to it. What an interesting ability. I could say the same thing to you, Buggy. Gomu Gomu no pistol. Lucy throwed a punch towards Buggy, who dodged, however it has its weaknesses. Lucy thought quickly and grabbed a window, pulling herself with an arm ready to clothesline Buggy. Gomu Gomu no side. Bara emergency escape quickly, said Buggy, detaching himself before Lucy could reach him. Thanks to this, Lucy crashed into a bunch of debris. Ha, you aren't that much of a threat. Lucy popped up from the debris and said, God, that ability is annoying, separating into sections. Meanwhile, Nami was watching the fight behind a house. Amazing, how is it possible for a fight like this to exist? It feels like I'm dreaming. Lucy cracked her knuckles and said, prepare yourself, Buggy. And what you'll do, Missy? He said. Lucy grinned and stretched her arms backwards, followed by an amazing burst speed. She reached Buggy. Wah, Gomu Gomu no bazooka. Lucy snapped her arms forward and hit Buggy in the gut, making him fly to the sky. Oh damn it, I wasn't intending to already finish it. Buggy's crew members, who were starting to wake up, decided to lay low when they saw their captain being sent flying. Lucy then noticed Nami watching her with an amazed expression on her face and waved at her. Oi Nami, did you see it? I sent him flying. Nami regained her composure. You did. I've finished stealing everything, including the map. Okay, let's go wake Zoro up and head towards my brother at the meeting place. Later on, the two pirates and one ally walked towards the pet food store and saw a knocked out man with white hair that looked like a hood, an unconscious big lion with cracks formed on the ground, a laughing old man, and Luffy playing with a dog. Oh, hey guys. Finished the fight already. It was easy, Captain. Now who's this and what happened here? Asked Zoro. Oh, this is Mayor Boodle, this is Chow Chow the dog, and those two on the floor are some lion and a guy that was the vice captain or something like that. Suddenly Boodle bowed. Thank you. Even though you're pirates, you saved this village and Chow Chow's treasure. Nami's eyes glinted at the sound of treasure. Treasure, where is it? It's the pet food store. The mayor said with a sweat drop on his head. But it's just a store. Nami questioned. For you maybe, but for Chow Chow it's something more. Boodle said. He then started to tell Chow Chow's story, how he was founded by the owner of the store who adopted him. They became friends, but one day the owner felt sick and he had to go to the hospital. He ordered Chow Chow to guard the store during his stay. Sadly, he died, but Chow Chow is an intelligent dog, so he must have noticed that his owner is dead. So right now, the store is Chow Chow's treasure, and if it weren't for this young man it would have been destroyed. Everyone turned their heads towards Luffy, who was rubbing the back of his head. It wasn't a big deal. Besides, I know how Chow Chow feels because I have a treasure as well. He then grabbed his straw hat. This straw hat was given to me by my idol and mentor. He is one of the strongest and greatest pirates to live and told me to give it back once I become the pirate king. This is the reason why it's my treasure, and I'll never forgive anyone who touches it with evil intentions. Nami was shocked. He fought the vice captain because of the dog. Nami took a good look at Luffy. How he acted wasn't how a normal pirate would act. He was kind, generous, friendly and happy all the time. Okay guys, let's go. Said Luffy, stooding up. Alright now. But brother, can't we eat? Said Lucy while grabbing her belly. I've already filled our boats with food and water, so let's leave. Said the captain, running towards the docks. Good luck on your adventure. Said Mayor Boodle, followed by a bark from Chow Chow. The four reached the boats and released them, leaving Orange Town for good. Okay, we've done that, now where would you like to go, Captain? Nami asked. Luffy with a thoughtful face suddenly said, is there an inhabited island nearby? Still wonder why you wanted to go to this island, Luffy. Said Nami. Right now, the Straw Hat Pirates were docked at an isolated island, with Zoro sleeping and the other three at the beach. So what do we do about Zoro? Said Luffy while preparing to walk towards the island. Nami responded, well, Lucy could stay here with him and no. Nami looked at Luffy, who right now looked like the incarnation of the devil. Well, she's strong so she can take care of herself and stay with him while we no. Nami gave up. Luffy was definitely the most stubborn man she had ever met. He also is the most overprotective brother I've ever met. Fine, Lucy can come with us explore the island. Just like that, Luffy's aura dissipated and he turned back to his joyful self. Actually, you can explore it with Lucy. I'll go train by myself a bit. Nami lifted an eyebrow. Can't we go with you? Why? Luffy started to sweat. Truth be told, he wanted to reveal his powers in the most baddest way he can imagine, and he had already a plan, and discovering it by watching him train was not baddest. I get embarrassed. That's it. Nami wanted to question more, but Lucy had already grabbed her by the arm and went to the forest while screaming adventure. Over and over. Luffy sighed of relief, he had his strength as a secret for another day, now he compassed himself and started walking to the island, now where can I find house-sized boulders? Meanwhile at the girl's position, Nami was officially creeped out. A little bit before entering the forest they found some weird mutated animals, and now they were hearing a voice in the forest. She mentally reminded herself to kill Luffy later. Who are you? Asked Lucy while trying to detect the voice. I am the forest guardian. The forest guardian? Asked the black-haired girl. That's right. So, if you want to live then leave at once. You're pirates, aren't you? Yeah. Said Lucy, while Nami muttered, why the hell would he ask that? So you're pirates. Listen well, don't take a step further to the forest. Or else you will face a forest judgment. Lucy got sick of hearing the forest guardian, so she activated her observation haki and sensed a presence different from the animals near them. She then stretched her arm to the presence. When she felt something solid she picked it up despite its screams and threw it to the ground. Then they got a good look at it. This thing doesn't look normal. Said the orange-haired girl looking at it weirdly. The thing then tried to get up, hey lift me up damn it. Holy crap it's a man. Exclaimed Nami with a sweat drop on her head. What an interesting cauliflower head. Said Lucy. Shut up and lift me. Said the man. Lucy proceeded to pick up the man in the chest and lead him to the coast. There they found out that his name was Gaimon and he told them how he had lived in the island for 20 years. So, you have been living by yourself for 20 years? Asked Nami. That's really stupid. Bluntly said Lucy. What did you say? I would like to see you walk a mile in my condition. Angrily said Gaimon, but no one was taking him seriously. After calming down Gaimon said 20 years really is a long time. My hair and mustache have already grown this long and I've also grown an unibrow. I also haven't talked to anyone in 20 years. Lucy hearing enough started to try to free Gaimon, but she couldn't, while Gaimon begged her to stop. After stopping Gaimon said that since it has been so long since he moved that his body and the chest became on. But how did you get to this island? Asked the navigator. I used to be a pirate. It's really nice being a pirate, venturing for treasures. Do you have any maps? Yeah we have lots of them since my brother insisted on them. We also have one for Grand Line. He's going for the One Piece. Oh really? Does he also have a devil fruit like you? Gaimon asked. Nami started to pay attention at Lucy's answer. She hadn't seen Luffy fight since she allied with him, heck she would think that he didn't fight at all if it weren't for the vice captain of the buggy pirates lying at his feet together with his lion. I don't know. He never said anything, but that he would reveal if he had one or not later, no matter how much I begged him to show it. Said Lucy. But why he's waiting for so long to fight? Said Nami, who was already too curious for the man with the straw hat. He told me that the East Blue was too weak for him and that he didn't want to kill anybody. Heck when I was together with him he always easily beat me. Said the black-haired girl. Nami was stunned, if this monster was just swept aside easily by Luffy, then he must be pretty powerful. She also scoffed at his comment about the East Blue, as if any human could defeat a fishman. Well I once heard that the East Blue was the weakest of all seas, but still it's a bit arrogant of him to declare that. Said the man inside of the chest. I believe in him. Said Lucy, even though he got smarter than me he still is bad at lying. I can't say anything else about him because it would go against his plan. Oh really? You sure you can't tell us? We'll give you food. Said Nami while putting her most vulnerable expression. Lucy was about to accept it when she remembered her brother's proposition. Flashback, they had just stomped on the Sea King and Lucy suddenly had sparkling eyes. Whoa Luffy how did you do that? She asked, referring to Geppu. Oh, I just jumped on the air, now Lucy I have something important to say. Said Luffy with his serious persona on. Oh, what is it? Are you showing me the nope? Said Luffy, I want you to promise to not tell anyone about what I did okay? Or about Haki got it? But bro, say it to anyone else and I'll make sure to make you vegetarian for the rest of your life. Said Luffy with a serious voice. Lucy gulped and nodded furiously. Good, now let's go to an island. Said Luffy while trying to change the mood. Flashback off, sorry Nami but I can't. Nami wanted to question it more, but she got interrupted by Gaimon, so if he wants the One Piece he has to go to the Grand Line correct? Yeah, so do I, since the strongest woman in the world is there and I plan to beat her. Said Lucy with a determined face. Well it definitely won't be easy, since the Grand Line is also called as the Pirate's Graveyard. Really? My brother said that people call the Grand Line paradise. How the hell would a pirate's graveyard be paradise? Is your brother insane? Said Nami. Well I can't say for myself since I haven't been there, but that treasure might be nothing more than a legend. Get what I mean? I think it has to have a better ending. Besides my brother is really lucky. Said Lucy while sitting on a rock. I don't understand where you get such confidence from. Said Nami. Now I will tell you why can't I leave the island. Said Gaimon. He then explained how 20 years ago he reached his island with his other crewmates in search for treasure, but they didn't find any. When they were leaving, Gaimon remembered that they didn't climb the mountain, so he climbed it and saw 5 treasure chests. Sadly, he fell off and got stuck on the chest. He tried to crawl to the shore, but when he got there he saw that his companions left him. He then proceeded to protect the treasure from anyone taking it. I know what I saw. I'm sure there were treasure chests up there. But now I'm stuck on this chest even though the treasure is all mine. Okay, Gaimon-san will help you bring down the treasure, said Nami, fired up. Wait, weren't you a thief that stole from pirates? Said Lucy. I have principles too, exclaimed Nami. They then started to walk to where Gaimon claimed to see the chest, but they weren't expecting to see what was in front of them. What? Asked Gaimon, clearly stunned by what he was looking. In front of them was a gigantic rock, however it was laying on the ground with the chests near it right in front of them. Hey, didn't you say that the treasure chests were on top of it? Asked Lucy. Yeah, but it wasn't like this yesterday, exclaimed Gaimon. Whatever, let's look at the chests, Gaimon-san, said Nami. Nami opened them and they were filled with treasure. However, there was a note written on it. What's this? Wondered Nami. She then proceeded to read it out loud. Hello guys, it's me, Luffy. I was walking around and saw these chests, so I opened them up and saw that they were empty, but since I like treasure hunting, I decided to fill them up with treasure I found. Hope you have a good use for it. P.S. If Nami is reading this, don't worry, I didn't take it from your sack, Luffy thought Nami. Even though it wasn't Luffy's intention, seeing Gaimon so happy it warmed her heart, which made her forgiving him to put treasure on the chest for anybody to take. Luffy, he's your captain, right? Asked Gaimon, who was crying. He is, said Nami with a fond smile on her face and no sign of lying on her voice. Give him the treasure back, I don't need it since I was planning to stay on this island to protect the animals. But he said, Lucy, he's a good man, he deserves it. And I hope you both achieve your dreams. Thanks, old man, said Lucy while grinning. After Lucy and Nami leaving, Gaimon then looked at the rock, however it's still weird that the rock is turned. And why are there hand marks on the base of it? He thought. Luffy was currently resting at the ship, currently sweating from his training, so he discarded his cardigan. That was some good training, I'm starting to get even more faster. I just hope by the time we reach Sabati Archipelago, I'll be physically ready to take on guys like Doflamingo or at least close. But damn it, there weren't bigger rocks than the one where I found Gaimon's chests. Maybe when we meet Frankie again I'll ask him to create a high-tech training room, I know Zoro will love it, thought Luffy. He then sensed his sister, Nami and Gaimon returning, so he got up to talk to them. Hey guys, how did your adventure go? Oh, nothing special, we found this man called Gaimon and retrieved the treasure you put inside. By the way, he wants to give you the treasure as a reward, Nami said. Luffy found a bit weird how she tried to look at him in the eyes to later revert them to his chest, but he didn't speak about it. After saying goodbye to Gaimon, Luffy and his friends started to sail the sea. Now it's your turn, Usopp. I can't wait to hear your silly stories again. A village from an East Blue Island, such a beautiful day. There's nothing like starting the day by looking at the sea, said a young man standing at the edge of the cliff. He then started to walk towards the village. He cleared his voice and then he started running. Pirates are attacking. The man kept repeating loudly his words while running. After a moment, he stopped before grinning. Just kidding. Ha 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 ha. This obviously led to the village people to get mad. That's it, you're going to get it this time, said a villager while throwing a kettle at the boy's head. The boy flinched and started to outrun the villagers, managing to lose them. Heh, I managed to fool everyone again, he said while trying not to laugh out loud. Well, I've done my job for today, bringing some excitement to this village. Captain Usopp. We have arrived. Usopp looked down and saw 2 kids called Ninjin and Paimon with wooden swords. Oh hey guys, how are you? Wait, shouldn't Tamanegi be with you? He's probably sleeping, saying Ninjin, who had white hair covering his eyes and freckles. Well, the other boy Paimon, who had dark green hair with the shape of a pepper, agreed. It's terrible. The 3 of them turned their heads to the road, seeing a boy with orange hair and glasses running towards them. It's terrible. Pirates are coming. On the coast of that village. So according to that map there's a town here, right? Luffy asked, already knowing the answer. Yeah, just a little one. Thank God there's actually someone with brains on this crew because those 2 are definitely empty inside, said Nami. I'm not empty, I ate a while ago, said Lucy while pouting at the navigator. Nami sighed. Well, it does feel good being on ground again, said Zoro. After stretching a while he then turned to his crewmates. Also, I've been wondering who are those 3, he said while pointing towards 4 persons standing behind a log. 3 of them shrieked and started to run away, while the other one, who was noticeably older, tried to make them come back. Seeing that they wouldn't do so, the boy stood up at full height and said, I am Captain Usopp, ruler of this village. If you're thinking of attacking this town, well, think again because my 80 million followers won't forgive you. You're lying, bluntly said Nami. Ah, I've been busted, screamed Usopp. See, you said busted. Said the navigator with a sweat drop coming behind her head. Oh no, I accidentally slipped that I was busted. Screamed the boy with the long nose. Ha ha ha, you're funny. Said Lucy while laughing out loud, her brother doing the same. Don't you insult me. I'm a proud man, in fact I have so much pride that they call me Usopp the Proud. Said Usopp. Later on, after talking a bit to each other they headed towards a restaurant. Luffy stayed behind a bit so that he could pour out his emotions without any of them noticing it. After that he quickly ran to catch up to them, reaching a restaurant and ordering food. You're looking for crew members and a ship? Asked Usopp. Yeah, that's right. Said Luffy while eating. Well, we don't have any big sailing ships or anything here, there's only one place that could have it. It's a huge mansion in town, and the folks there are way richer than anyone else, and I know the owner of that house. She's a sick young girl. Said the man with the curly hair. Why would a girl like that own a mansion? Asked Nami, while Lucy was demanding for more food in the background. 1 year ago she lost both of her parents to sickness, all she has left is a massive fortune, a huge mansion and an army of servants. Said Usopp. Even with all the money in the world you would never find a more tragic situation. Nami thought a bit and said forget it. Let's give up on finding a ship here, we can try a different town. Yeah, there's no rush, we can just buy some more food and then go. Said Lucy. While they were saying this Luffy had his hat down so that we couldn't see his eyes, an action Zoro noticed. What he didn't notice was Luffy gripping the table, but not too hard so that it wouldn't break. By the way, you said you were looking for crew members, right? Usopp asked. Luffy sighed. Yeah, we are. If you want you can make me your captain. Said Usopp while pointing at himself proudly. Nope. Said the other four. Hey, at least consider it. Said Usopp. After some time Usopp had to leave, and a few minutes after he left 3 kids entered the restaurant. The Usopp pirate crew has arrived. Who's that? Asked Nami, while Lucy shrugged. The captain isn't here, said Ninjin. Maybe he was caught by them. Said Tamanegi while the 3 of them were starting to sweat. Hey pirates. What have you done with Captain Usopp? Asked Paimon. Ah, that was some good meat. Sighed Lucy while patting her belly. Me meat. Don't tell me, what did you do? Said Tamanegi. They started to hurt a chuckle and they turned their heads to Luffy. You want to know about your captain? Shishishi Luffy they decided to play a little more and put a little bit of hockey in the air, giving shivers to everyone present except Lucy. We just ate him. He said in the most frightening voice he had. The 3 boys froze and then they turned their heads to Nami. Jaya. Cave Witch. Why are you looking at me? She said while the other were laughing. After calming down Tamanegi said, it's time. Yeah, he said that and then he left. Said Zoro. Oh yeah, he must have went to the mansion. Said the boy with the pepper-shaped hair. What's he going to do? Asked the black-haired girl. Oh, he's going to lie. It's great, right? Isn't that a bad thing? Said Lucy while sweat dropping. What kind of lies he tells? Asked Luffy. Oh, he tells her stories to make her feel better. Said the boy whose hair resembled an onion. I like his nosiness. Said Ninjin. I like his bossiness. Said Paimon. I like his instigating. Said Tamanegi. He must get a lot of adoration around here. Said Zoro while sweat dropping. So, the mistress must feel better, right? Luffy asked Ninjin, who nodded. Well then, let's go to the mansion and get our boat. Didn't I tell you to give up on that already? Nami said, but Luffy ignored her and walked out of the building. After a bit, they reached the mansion's gate. Well, let's go in. Said Luffy while he and Lucy were climbing the gate. Nami sighed, he may be smart, but sometimes he's really impulsive. Zoro agreed. All you can do is follow along. After climbing it they headed towards to where Usopp was. Usopp noticed them and said, why are you all here? The 3 boys then pointed towards Luffy. So, you're the mistress I assume? Well, we have a request. Said Luffy in his business voice. Yeah, we were wondering if you had a ship. What are you doing here? You can't simply barge into the mansion like this. Ugh. The butler said Usopp. Luffy turned his body fully, which made the butler Kuro gasp and freeze in fear. He may have stopped being a pirate, but he still kept informed of the news, and he could recognize that face anywhere. Why you? What is a person like you are doing here? Kuro said, while stuttering. The other looked confused until they noticed that the butler was talking about Luffy, who had a serious face. We came here for a ship, what got a problem? He said, while trying to control his rage that he felt against Kuro. Kuro squeaked, which was out of character for the people who knew him and said, you be better not do anything, or else I'll call T the Marines. He said, while getting even more pale. Relax, I'm not going to hurt anyone, I'm just asking for a ship, so how about you go inside the house and do your butler business? And also, I don't think calling the Marines would be good, okay? The man with the straw hat said while looking intimidating. After hearing this Kuro shivered and started to head inside of the house. Everyone was perplexed by what had just happened. So, how about that boat? Luffy asked, in his joyful manner. Afterwards, at a cliff. Your dad is Usopp, right? Luffy asked. Usopp turned his head and saw Luffy sitting next to him. Yeah? How did you know that? Usopp asked. He also was a little scared about what had just happened at Kaya's mansion. Oh, I've known him since I was a kid. You really look like him. The man with the straw hat said. Really? Where is he now? Asked Usopp. He's probably on Shanks the red-haired ship. Said casually Luffy. Really? Wait, you mean the Shanks the red-haired? Asked Usopp. Yeah. Your dad's shooting skills are the best, so it's no wonder he's on Shanks' ship. Said Luffy. To tell the truth, even though he left me for the sea, I'm always proud of my dad. Luffy smiled at Usopp's sentence. Wait, isn't that the butler? Luffy asked while pointing downwards. Usopp looked and was astonished to see the butler walking on the beach, but he looked a little paler than normal, and he was seething, maybe he was a little sick. Then they saw a weird-looking man with him. Dango, I told you not to draw the attention of the villagers, and yet you start sleeping in the middle of the street. Said the butler. Boy, I'm not weird. Also, I'd like to report that the preparations to assassinate the mansion's owner are complete. Usopp gasped at the information while Luffy just kept looking. Assassinate is an ugly word, but now it's not the time for that. I want you to postpone the preparations. Luffy's eyes widened, this didn't happen last time. Postpone? But why? Django asked. Kuro then took out a paper from his pocket and showed Django, who comically fell back and screamed, why are you showing me that? Luffy suddenly realized what the paper was and whispered to Usopp, go to my crewmates and wait there, okay? I'll be there soon. Usopp was a little confused by the request but complied, leaving Luffy alone on the cliff. This man right now is on the village and he's friends with the mansion's owner, now you understand. We'll wait for him to leave, and then we attack. Said Kuro, who was visibly shaken. I'm afraid that's too late, Captain Kuro. Said a voice from the top of the cliff. Looking up, both men realized who was talking. Why you? Unfortunately, I can't allow it, so about we do it like this. My friends are getting bored and need some exercise, so tomorrow at dawn you'll try to attack them at the northern passage. If you are not there at the time, then I will deal with you by myself. Said Luffy. Kuro may be strong in the East Blue, but he was the smartest and he knew that this pirate could probably defeat him with one punch. So, he complied. Very well then, I accept. He said. Good, see you then. Said Luffy while walking and waving his arm. After walking for a while, Luffy found Lucy and the others near a fence. Hey guys. Luffy, you're okay. Said Usopp with relief on his voice. Of course, I'm okay, why wouldn't I be okay? Said Luffy while tilting his head. Maybe it was because you were secretly hearing two pirates talking about assassination. Said Nami. Oh yeah, about that, tomorrow at dawn they'll attack at the northern shore and we'll be there to stop. You three can't go. Said Luffy, who then pointed at the three kids. But why? They complained. Because if you try to fight I'll feed you to the cave witch. Said Luffy while pointing at Nami, making him receive a punch to the head. Idiot. Is that it? Asked Lucy. Yeah, that's it, now let's prepare you guys. Said the man with the straw hat while grinning. Next day, at dawn, I see their ship. Said Lucy looking at the beach. Well then guys, you go ahead and fight, I'll be sleeping over there. Said Luffy while walking towards a tree. Why aren't you fighting, damn it? Said Zoro, Nami and Usopp. They're too weak. Besides, you have Lucy and she would be enough to wipe them all out. Said Luffy, who was already moving his straw hat down for his nap. The three groaned while Lucy was already grinning at the prospect of a battle. Also, Lucy, Zoro, leave some for Usopp and Nami, they need the practice. Got it? Said the swordsman while already preparing his swords. As the pirates started to walk towards them, Usopp shot them with slingshot, screaming lead star. While Nami was hitting them with her staff. However, they were soon started to be overwhelmed, and that's where Lucy and Zoro stepped in, sending the pirates flying. You guys got defeated with one attack. Well then guess I have to do this. Django said. He then lifted a pendulum, now look at this. After I say 1, 2, Django, you guys will become stronger than before and your wounds will heal. What's that guy doing? Asked Lucy. It must be hypnotism, he's trying to make them think they're stronger, but no matter what don't look at the pendulum, okay? Said Nami. Want we, Django? Django said while covering his eyes so that he wouldn't be affected. The pirates' eyes started to become white and they roared. One of them punched a cliff and crushed it. How did they gain so much strength? Wondered Zoro. They started to back away, leaving Zoro and Lucy to deal with them. Lucy then started to grin, they're still weak. And faced them head on. Lucy? Screamed Zoro. Gomu Gomu no Gatling. She said, then started to punch so fast that it looked like her arms were multiplying. This managed to stop the pirates, sending them flying again. When she started to run again, the pirates also started to run, but in the opposite way, so that they wouldn't be punched again by the scary lady. However, she ignored them and started to run after the ship. As she got there, she proceeded to grab the bow, and with mighty strength, she started to lift the ship. Holy fuck! Screamed the pirates. Zoro, Usopp and Nami were surprised by Lucy's strength, and they couldn't say anything. Lucy stopped and turned her head to look at the pirates, giving them the evil look. She then lifted the ship even more, jumped and smashed onto the ground, defeating every pirate in the area. "Well, that took care of them," said a clearly impressed Zoro. Nami was just making noises, she has never seen something like this. The closest thing was Arlong, and he could only lift a house with great effort, and this random girl could lift bigger things than that. Usopp passed out from the amazement. They now understood Luffy's words. "Well, I guess I'm defeated then," said a voice behind them. Looking back, they saw that it was Kuro, who looked like he had just made an accident on his pants. I mean your ship is done for, so you can't escape, and I still haven't moved a muscle, and I'm stronger than her, so now what are you going to do?" said Luffy, who was stretching his muscles. He didn't expect his sister to end it so soon, he was just entering a nice dream. "I have an idea, you know how to build a raft." Kuro nodded. "Well then build one, get your crewmates and leave," said Luffy, like it was the best plan ever. "Well, I was wondering, your crew is still small, right? So, I was thinking if I could join. I mean, I'm the smartest person in East Blue right now, so I would be a great help and spoke Kuro before looking at Luffy, who had his face showing his rage. "Either you build a raft to get the fuck out, or I'll kill you. Decide," said Luffy, showing his killing intent. Kuro stuttered and ran to build a raft big enough to hold his crewmates, using the debris of the old ship. "Does he think that I'm that retarded to let a guy like him join my crew? Idiot," said Luffy, clearly pissed off. They decided to wait until Kuro left. When he did, Luffy turned to Usopp. "Usopp, I've been wondering, you want to become a brave warrior like your dad, right? So how about you join our crew?" Usopp was stunned. This guy refused a strong man like Kuro, who had a bounty of 16 million berries, and he wants him on this crew. "But why? I'm weak." "Usopp, you're not weak, everyone has its strengths, and by this battle everyone would agree that you have great sniping skills," said Luffy, while the others nodded. "But you didn't see it," said Usopp, who was starting to tear up. "Knowing who your dad is, I didn't need to see it," said a grinning Luffy. After this sentence, Usopp puffed out his chest and said, "Then I'll be the captain." Like hell. They argued, while laughing at the same time. Unbeknownst to them, Kaya was watching them, with an accepting smile on her face. Later on, "Meet the going Mary," said Mary, one of Kaya's butler. Everyone was surprised by the ship, but Luffy was almost tearing up. "Let's hurry up because I don't think I can hold it any longer." Mary then proceeded to explain how to direct the ship to Luffy and Nami, since they were the only ones who could do it. After stopping a giant ball, who was Usopp and his gigantic bag, from crushing the ship, they decided to leave after Luffy started insisting on it. "So, you're going to the sea, Usopp-san?" said Kaya, who was trying to hide her sadness. "Yeah, but don't worry, next time I come to this village I'll tell you stories that are more unbelievable than lies, and they'll be the truth." "I'm looking forward to it," said Kaya. She then remembered something that Luffy said to her earlier. "Usopp-san, is it true that you like me?" Usopp froze and started to blush heavily. What? "K Kaya, ugh, I have to go." He then started to run to the ship, only to be stopped by Kaya, who turned him around and kissed him. After a brief time, she released him and said, "Please come back safe and sound okay." Usopp, after getting through his shock, nodded and said, "Don't worry, I promise." "Wow, that's so romantic. I wonder if something like that will happen to me or Nami," said Lucy. After hearing this, Luffy got a bad shiver and swore himself to never let that happen. "Hey Usopp, how about you hop in so that we can leave?" said Luffy. "Geez, what's gotten into you?" Usopp gathered some courage and kissed Kaya. "Bye Kaya." "Bye Usopp." "Set sail," screamed Luffy. After Luffy going to the bathroom to bawl his eyes out, he then joined the others for a toast to celebrate their new crewmate. Luffy then looked at the sunset, something he was becoming prone to, and thought, "Now it's your turn, Sanji. Can't wait to eat your food again. I just hope I control myself if you flirt with Lucy or Nami," thought Luffy, with a sweat drop on his head. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support the Portuguese Ronaldo for writing that awesome fanfic. See you in the next video. Goodbye.